"Your nephew needs your apartment. He's getting married," Dad said, handing over my spare keys. I just nodded. 2 days later, their moving truck hit a wall they didn't expect. Can you imagine standing in your own childhood kitchen, your dad holding your keys, the ones you gave him for emergencies, and casually announcing your nephew is moving into your apartment? Not asking, mind you. Telling. That was the instant a cold, hard truth slammed into me. To my family, my property wasn't mine. It was just a communal resource, and I was just the guy who owned it. The guy whose feelings apparently didn't matter. It was a Sunday, 6:12 p.m. My mom was pretending to be busy with the oven, heat blasting her face, clearly avoiding my eyes. My brother, Kyle, leaned against the counter, that smug grin on his face, the kind that screams, "I've already spent your money," in my head. Dad just stood there, holding up my spare keys. Not even subtle. The same set I'd given them 3 years ago when I bought the place, just for actual emergencies. Kyle reached for them like they were his birthright. Mom just smiled, too wide, and chirped, "You can crash on our couch for a bit," like I should be grateful for being displaced from my own home. I just nodded. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even ask why my name wasn't mentioned in a decision about my own property. I simply walked out, got in my car, and drove back to my restaurant. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my mind was already racing, doing what it always does, inventory. Levers. Who has access to what? By 7:03 p.m., I was in my truck in the back lot. I pulled up a note on my phone. Change of access, trust, manager, locks, documentation. That's when I decided. I was done being their safety net. Just 2 days later, at 9:18 a.m., Kyle and my nephew Evan showed up at my building with a moving truck. But they didn't get far. My building manager, Marco, stopped them cold. "Gentlemen," he said, cool as a librarian, "this property belongs to a trust. You're trespassing." Then my phone started blowing up. 9:26 a.m. 9:27 a.m., a voicemail from my dad. It began with a scream. It ended with, "What did you do?" And at 9:28 a.m., staring at my screen, I had a moment of crystal clarity. In their version of a story, I was the obstacle. In mine, I was the owner. It wasn't about revenge. It was about boundaries. My name is Brandon. I'm 41. I'm a chef. That means I work while everyone else is eating, celebrating, relaxing. Or, in my family's case, pretending their choices don't have consequences. I'm an executive chef for a mid-sized restaurant group, 6 locations. I run 2 kitchens, consult on menus for the rest. The title's fancy, the work isn't. My days start at 9:30 a.m. and end God knows when, after the last prep list is done, the line is spotless, and every random question is answered. I'm the guy who knows where the extra box of gloves is, and how to fix the walk-in cooler when it makes that wrong sound. Outside of work, I'm the spreadsheet guy, the contract reader, the auto-pay setter, the guy who believes if we just plan better, life won't be stressful. And in my family, that translated into a different role. I wasn't Brandon. I was, "Brandon will handle it." Kyle, my brother, is 2 years younger. He's charming, in short bursts. Great at big promises, terrible at follow-through. He's been between opportunities so many times. It's practically his brand. Evan is Kyle's son, 24 now. Not a bad kid, deep down. But he grew up watching his dad get rescued. So for him, rescue feels normal. Like gravity. My parents, they love us both. I truly believe that. But they respected one of us. Guess which one? When I was 33, I got divorced. Nothing dramatic, just a slow drift, different lives. I bought out my ex, moved into a smaller place above my first restaurant. A year later, I bought a small 4-unit building. One of those old brick places, creaky stairs, solid bones. It wasn't glamorous, it was smart. I kept 1 unit empty. A future option. An office. A landing pad for when the restaurant noise got too much. A place where silence was allowed. That empty unit quickly became the center of my family's imagination. When I bought it, Dad clapped me on the shoulder. "Look at you. You're set." Mom said, "You're so responsible." Kyle, "Man, must be nice." It started small. Like it always does. Can Evan crash there for a weekend? He has an interview. Can't afford hotels. Just until Monday. I said yes. I gave my parents that spare key for emergencies because Dad liked to check on the place, and it felt easier than fighting. The first weekend turned into 3. Then Evan needed a month to save up for a new job. Then Kyle had a fight with his girlfriend and needed a reset. And every single time, my parents framed it the exact same way. Family helps family. Sounds noble, right? Until you realize the help always flows in one direction. I didn't even mind helping at first. I'm not made of stone. I've cooked extra meals for staff when someone's car got repossessed. I've paid a dishwasher's phone bill because his kid needed surgery and he was panicking. Helping isn't my problem. Entitlement is. The first real crack happened on a random Thursday in March. 10:47 p.m. I was closing the kitchen. Kyle called, his voice loud, casual. Hey, quick thing. Evan's going to stay at your unit just for a bit. Who told you that was happening? I asked. Silence. Like I'd asked the weirdest question on earth. Then Dad got on the phone. It's fine, Brandon. Don't make it a big deal. The thing that bothered me wasn't Evan staying there. It was my own father talking about my property like he was assigning seats at a dinner table. I drove over after service. Midnight. The back door propped open with a trash can. The unit smelled like cheap cologne and microwave noodles. Evan was on my couch, shoes on, feet up, watching something loud on his phone. Hey, I said. I didn't know you were coming tonight. He didn't even pause the show. Grandpa said it was cool. I just stood there. Is that how it works now? My permission optional because someone else gave it? I told him, calm as I could be. You need to text me directly next time. If it's my place, it's my call. He just nodded, like I'd asked him to recycle. 2 weeks later, an email from my property insurance provider. We have been notified of additional occupants at the insured address. Please confirm primary occupancy and update tenant roster. I didn't update it. Evan wasn't supposed to be a tenant, but someone had listed him. When I asked my mom, she laughed. Oh, I just called them to make sure he was covered. You worry too much. That night, I opened my laptop and started a folder. Building access/occupancy. Screenshots. Emails. Dates. Times. Because here's what nobody tells you about family entitlement. Asterisk, it thrives in vagueness. Make it specific, and it starts to die. Asterisk, then came the wedding announcement. Evan got engaged to a woman named Tessa. Nice enough, works in marketing, always talking about timelines and vision boards. They wanted a wedding in 8 months. Ambitious if you have savings. Delusional if you don't. Kyle started calling me more. Never directly asking for money. Never. That would require dignity. He'd ask, how much is it to rent a venue, you think? Do you think an open bar is really necessary? What's a normal deposit for a photographer? Then my mom started sending me links. Look at this place. Isn't it beautiful? Evan deserves a good start. And then, like clockwork, Dad hit me with the line he always used when they wanted something big without saying it. Well, you're the stable one. I had a policy. I don't fund weddings. I'll give a gift. I'll show up. I'll smile. But I won't become the silent sponsor of someone else's fantasy. So I said, I'll contribute as a gift, but I'm not paying for the wedding. My mom's voice went instantly cold. We're not asking you to pay. 2 days later, a notification from my bank app. New request on your account. Add authorized user. Evan last name. I stared at it like a bad prank. I called my bank immediately. The rep sounded concerned. Sir, someone attempted to add a user using your personal verification questions. They had my mother's maiden name. My first car. The street I grew up on. Because my family had that information. I changed everything that night. Passwords. Security questions. 2-factor authentication. I froze my credit. I didn't tell them. Not yet. Because the pattern was obvious. They weren't forgetting to ask me. They were testing the limits of what they could take without permission. And if I didn't draw a line, that line would be drawn for me. The unit became a talking point at every family gathering. 4th of July. My aunt asked, So, Brandon, are you excited to have the kids in your place? The kids? I asked. My mom jumped in. Oh, you know, Evan and Tessa will probably start there. Just until they get settled. I looked at her. That's not the plan. She blinked, offended. Well, it makes sense. There it was again. It makes sense, not, Can we talk about it? Not, would you consider it? Just, it makes sense. In their version of a story, my resources were family resources. In mine, my resources were the result of 70-hour weeks, burned hands, missed weekends, and saying no to things they said yes to. The erosion wasn't just financial. It was personal. It was the way Dad would introduce me. This is Brandon, he owns a building. Instead of this is Brandon, he's a chef. Like the building was my identity. Like it was the only reason I was useful. It was the way Kyle talked about the unit like it was already assigned. We'll paint it after the wedding. We'll get new furniture. We'll swap the locks. He said that last one casually at brunch. I set my fork down. Why would you swap the locks? Kyle grinned. For safety, you know. New chapter. Mom nodded. It's normal, honey. Something in my chest went quiet. I wasn't angry. I wasn't cruel. I was just done. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying conversations like security footage. How many times had I mistaken confidence for love? How many times had I called it family closeness when it was really just access? At 4:47 a.m., I opened my laptop and pulled up my property documents. And I found the lever I'd been ignoring. The building wasn't in a trust. It was in my name, which meant my family's access was entirely based on keys and assumptions. Keys I could change. Assumptions I could break. Monday, I met with an attorney named Denise. She specialized in real estate and asset protection. I brought a folder. Literally, a printed folder with tabs, deed, mortgage, insurance policy, emails about occupancy, screenshots of that authorized user request, even a photo of the spare key ring in my dad's hand from that Sunday, because, yes, my cousin had posted it on Facebook with the caption, "Family helping family." Denise looked at everything, then at me. "You're not here because you hate them," she said. "You're here because they don't understand ownership." I exhaled, like I'd been holding my breath for a year. We set up a trust, not because I was hiding assets or doing anything shady, because I wanted the building managed like an asset, not treated like a family timeshare. The Harrison Property Trust. Yes, my last name is Harrison. No, I'm not proud of how formal it sounds. The trustee, a professional trust company Denise worked with. Beneficiary, me. Manager, my existing property management firm. We drafted formal policies. No occupancy without a written lease. No keys distributed without trustee approval. No temporary stays beyond 72 hours without documentation. Any attempted forced entry triggers a trespass notice. Then I called my building manager, Marco. Marco is the kind of guy who wears a neat polo, knows every tenant by name, and doesn't get emotionally involved. Perfect. I told him, I need to change access. He didn't ask why. He asked for dates and details. Wednesday, 8 a.m., a locksmith changed every exterior lock. New deadbolts, new keyway, new building entry fob system. Cost me $1,146. I still have the receipt. At 8:42 a.m., a text from my mom. "Why isn't my key working?" Smiley face. The smiley face made my jaw tighten more than any insult could have. I didn't respond. At 9:10 a.m., I emailed my parents. "Spare keys are no longer valid. Please don't attempt to access the unit. If there is an emergency, contact Marco at the management office." Simple. Professional. Boring. Boring is a boundary's best friend. Then I asked Denise, "What happens if they show up anyway?" She said, "Then they learn what trespass means." I wasn't planning to destroy them. I was planning to stop them from destroying me. The confrontation was inevitable. I just wanted it on paper, not in motion. And I knew exactly where it would happen, because Evan's wedding timeline had a deadline. They were going to need the apartment for a start, which meant they'd announce it publicly and dare me to object. So, I planned for that moment like I plan a Saturday dinner service. Prep everything. Label everything. Keep the heat controlled. It happened sooner than I expected. 2 days after the key moment at my parents' house, Kyle called. He didn't even pretend it was a check-in. "Hey," he said. "We're moving Evan into your place Friday." I was in my office at the restaurant, staring at the prep schedule. "No, you're not," I said. He laughed like I told a joke. "Dude, Dad already said yes." I paused. Not for drama. To make sure my voice stayed level. Kyle, Dad doesn't own it. His tone sharpened. So, you're really going to do this to family? I'm not doing anything to anyone, I said. I'm managing my property. He hung up. Friday morning, 9:18 a.m. Marco called me. Brandon, he said. There's a moving truck in front of the building. 2 men. One says he's the father of the tenant. Do they have a lease? I asked. Marco didn't even pause. No. Then follow the protocol. I heard him exhale. Understood. I stayed on the line. I heard voices in the background. Kyle's, loud, demanding. Evan's, nervous, trying to smooth it over. A third voice, my dad, arriving late and acting like he was in charge. Then Marco spoke, calm and clear. Gentlemen, this property belongs to a trust. I can't allow entry without authorization. You are trespassing. Kyle snapped. It's my brother's building. He said we could. Marco cut him off. Not rude. Firm. I have the trustee's instructions in writing. If you don't leave, I will call police for a trespass report. Then my dad's voice angry. Put Brandon on the phone. Marco said. He's not required to speak with you. My phone buzzed. Calls. Voicemails. Texts. Dad, call me now. Mom, what is happening? Kyle, you're actually sick. I didn't respond. Still on the line with Marco. I waited until the moving truck started backing up. Marco said quietly, they're leaving. Thank you, I said. Please email me the incident summary. Already drafting, he replied. At 10:06 a.m., my parents showed up at my restaurant. Not in the dining room. They came through the back, like they own the place, too. My sous chef, Dana, looked at me with that, "Are we calling someone?" face. I told her, "Give me 5 minutes." We went into my small office. My dad didn't sit. He stood over my desk like he was about to fire me from my own life. "What did you do?" he demanded. "I protected my property," I said. My mom's eyes were wet already. "Brandon, why are you being like this?" That line. Why are you being like this? As if I'd woken up and decided to be difficult for fun. Kyle stormed in after them. Evan wasn't there. Smart kid. Kyle pointed at me. You embarrassed Dad in front of everyone. I looked at him. No one was embarrassed. They were stopped from entering a property they don't own. Dad slammed his hand on my bookshelf. Not violent, just loud. "We raised you," he said. "And this is how you repay us." I leaned back in my chair. "The thing that bothered me wasn't you asking for help," I said. "It was you giving away something that isn't yours." Mom whispered. "It was just an apartment." I nodded. "Exactly. Just an apartment. And you still couldn't respect one boundary around it." Kyle scoffed. "So what? You made a trust now? You think you're some billionaire." I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder. Denise had told me to keep it simple. So I did. I slid one page across the desk. Certification of trust, then another, property management agreement, then another, trespass protocol notice. My dad's eyes tracked the papers. His face changed in slow motion. Not guilt. Not understanding. Calculation. Mom read the first line and looked up. "You did this behind our backs." "I did it because you were making decisions behind mine," I said. Kyle laughed sharp. "This is petty." I shook my head. "It's not petty. It's structured." Dad tried a new angle. "Softer. Brandon, Evan is starting his life. You have 4 units. You don't even use that one." "I don't owe my unused space to anyone," I said. Mom's voice cracked. "So where are they supposed to go?" I didn't bite. I didn't argue about their options. I just said the truth. They should rent a place, like adults, where you can help them. "You offer the couch." Kyle snapped. "That was temporary." I looked at him. So was Evan staying in my unit? Until it wasn't. Silence. Dad's jaw clenched. "In our family, we don't do legal threats." I kept my voice flat. "In my life, I do paperwork when people don't listen to words." Kyle leaned forward. "So, you're really going to let your nephew start his marriage on a couch?" I met his eyes. "Calm. Cool. Then go join them." He blinked like he'd never heard someone say no without apologizing. I stood up and opened my office door. "We're done," I said. "Do not come to my workplace again. If you want to talk, you email me." Dad stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Because the old version of me would have folded right there. But I wasn't that guy anymore. Not revenge. Just boundaries. The next 72 hours were a greatest hits album of manipulation. Anger first. Kyle sent 23 texts in a row. Asterisk, you're dead to me. Dad's blood pressure is high because of you. You always thought you were better than us. You could fix this with one call. Asterisk, then guilt. My mom left a voicemail at 11:38 p.m., whispering like she was in a hospital. I don't know who you are anymore, Brandon. Then pity. Dad emailed me a photo of himself sitting at the kitchen table with a handwritten note. Family is all we have, no apology. No acknowledgement. Just a slogan. Then the smear campaign, lightly disguised as concern. My aunt messaged me. Asterisk, are you okay? Your mom says you're having a breakdown. Asterisk, I replied one sentence. Asterisk, I'm fine. Please don't contact me about this. Asterisk, Marco emailed me the incident report. Timestamped. Objective. Asterisk, 2 individuals attempted access without lease. Refused to leave initially. Departed after trespass protocol stated. Asterisk, Denise sent a follow-up. Asterisk, good job staying calm. Do not engage in emotional arguments. Keep everything in writing. Asterisk, I blocked Kyle's number for a week. I didn't block my parents. Not because I was soft. Because I wanted documentation. I replied to Dad's email with 3 lines. Asterisk, I'm not discussing this in person. The unit is not available. If you attempt entry again, the management company will file a report. Asterisk, that was it. No debate. No emotional essay. Because they wanted a fight they could describe to other people. They wanted me to look unstable. Cruel. Dramatic. I gave them nothing. At some point, Evan finally reached out. A single text, 2:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. Asterisk, Uncle Brandon, can we talk? Just you and me. Asterisk, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near my restaurant. He showed up alone. Eyes tired. No anger, just confusion and embarrassment. I didn't know they were doing it like that, he said. I believed him. I told him, if you want a place, I'll help you find one. I'll even review the lease. I'll tell you what deposits are normal, what fees are scams. But you don't start a marriage by taking something that isn't yours. He swallowed. Dad said you promised. I promised your grandparents a spare key for emergencies, I said. That's all. He nodded slowly, like a child realizing his favorite story was fake. Are you cutting everyone off? He asked. I thought about it. I'm cutting off access, I said. Not love? If they can respect that, we can have a relationship. He didn't answer right away. Then he said quietly, I don't think they know how. That might have been the saddest thing anyone said in this whole mess. 9 months later, the building is still mine. Still boring. Still solid. The trust runs smoothly. Tenants pay rent through the portal. Maintenance requests get handled without phone calls to my mother. I renovated the empty unit into a small office. A place for me to decompress after long shifts. New desk, a simple couch, a cheap record player I found online for $85. I sit there some nights with a beer, and I let silence just be silence. My finances are cleaner, too. No family support, line items disguised as kindness. No unexpected access requests. No panic calls about just bridging this month. Kyle and I don't talk. That's his choice. My parents send the occasional neutral message about weather or holidays, like nothing happened. In their version of a story, I betrayed them. In mine, I stopped participating in a system where my role was resource, not person. Here's what I learned, concretely. If someone can give away what's yours without asking, they don't see it as yours. And if they don't see it as yours, they won't respect it until paperwork forces them to. I'm not proud that it came to that, but I am proud I didn't explode. I didn't beg. I didn't perform. I just changed the locks, changed the structure, and kept cooking my life forward, one day at a time. Not revenge. Just boundaries. If you've ever been the stable one in your family, you already know. Stability attracts hands. Your job is to decide which hands get to hold on.